Welcome back to NBA Today. So it's been 4 weeks to the day since the Timberwolves' Jaden McDaniels collided with Anthony Davis's left knee, resulting in a sprained MCL for Davis. And since then, he has missed 12 games. So for an update on Anthony Davis's status, let's bring in our Lakers beat reporter, Dave McMenamin. Hi, Dave. So where do things stand in Davis's return to the lineup for the Lakers?
Hey, Malika, good news for the Lakers in terms of Anthony Davis. He's officially going to be reevaluated by team doctors early next week, but I'm told that he was on the court today working out with a brace on his left knee and that his movement has been improving, his progress has been going well, and sources tell me that there's optimism within the team that he could be back playing in games as soon as the Lakers' upcoming long road trip at the end of the month. They call it the Grammys road trip. You could see the Lakers listening to some good music supplied by Anthony Davis's court game.
Well, and he cannot come back soon enough considering their loss to Sacramento. They clearly really need him, and you can see their upcoming road schedule. It doesn't get any easier for the Lakers from here. They need Anthony Davis back as soon as possible. Dave McMenamin, thank you so much. I do want to stick in the West here, though, because Rudy Gobert, he has cleared the NBA's health and safety protocol. So remember, the Jazz went 1-4 without their star center and gave up 120 points per 100 possessions. That's the second worst in the league at this time, ahead of only the Los Angeles Lakers. So welcome back, Rudy Gobert. But we are not done yet. Next on NBA Today, we go to the top of the top on beefs. So that reigns our senior writer. So I want to start with you, though, Matt Barnes, since you're here right next to me. Your biggest takeaway from this game was what?
Solid performance by the Bucks, and Giannis dominated. But as Giannis said, it's still the middle of January.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, we could dive into Giannis, and the biggest takeaway, I mean, one of the things is his playmaking ability. When you look at Giannis, you know, that growth of making others around him better. Look, he's already the most dominant player in the NBA, but now when he's able to go out there and get 30 and get others involved, he's elevating his game into a whole nother level. But I will say this. This game showed us last night in the past few games of why Draymond Green is the heart and soul of the Golden State Warriors. You know, their swag has been missing, and it's missing because of Draymond. We already know how he gets Steph involved. We know his defensive intangibles. But when you're getting off that bus and you have a certain type of swag, it's because you have your big brother. So when you have Draymond and you're on the road and you get off that bus in that tunnel, now all of a sudden you could look and watch yourself walk because you dripping so much. But they're missing Draymond. And some people want to say, oh, well, he's not scoring 50. No, but he gives those guys swagger.
Yeah, they're missing Draymond, but the Bucks are missing Drew Holiday. So it's not like they are just, you know.
I would say, not to cut you off, Malika, I would say Draymond is much more important. With all due respect, Draymond is much more important because he's a security blanket, as Perk saying. He's a security blanket on the defensive end.
But if they're able to guard Steph that well and Drew Holiday isn't even on the floor.
But what you have to understand is Draymond is a Hall of Fame orchestrator on the offensive end. So we're all excited that Steph's excited that Klay's back, but Draymond has his other weapon now. So Draymond has two of the best shooters ever now to work with. So all due respect to Drew Holiday, Draymond Green is a security blanket, and like Perk said, gives that team a whole new outlook when he's out there.
He's the swagger elevator, Zach Lowe. What was your biggest takeaway from last night's game?
I like Perk's point about Giannis's passing. He had that lefty no-look hook pass across the court. That was a beauty. But look, the Bucks needed this game, I think, a little bit more than the Warriors. That they had lost 4 out of 5. They were hungry. They were coming home. Charlotte had just taken them down. They needed it more. And I'm with Steve Kerr. This is a rut for the Warriors, and ruts happen. They had the Steph record chase. Klay's back, all the hoopla around that. Now they have to reintegrate him. Draymond's out. You're on the road. You have games like this. It was a little disturbing how just badly they got rolled. I mean, the score looked like a typo. But to me, this game was more about Milwaukee being hungry for a win, hungry to right their own ship a little bit than it was about Golden State having some sort of big problem.
But still, losing 4 out of 5 coming into this was an important game for the Milwaukee Bucks to come in and win. And I don't think we can ignore the fact that they have now had big wins over some of the top teams like the Nets and now the Warriors. And so I don't think we can just take them lightly. Oh, they didn't have Draymond. This is the defending champs we're talking
hats
about.
off.
This
Right,
is
absolutely.
a statement game. Hats off to them. And speaking of that, after the game, Steph, he's no stranger to winning titles. He said this about the Milwaukee Bucks.
Milwaukee's they're a good team, obviously, the championship DNA now, and they present some challenges in terms of, putting pressure on the interior and spacing for, with their shooting. They took momentum and played a little hungrier than we did tonight, to start the game, and then pretty much won it in the first, 18 minutes. So we have to find some type of, heartbeat on the defensive end. We've shown it in spurts. We've shown a little bit of life, but we set the bar really high early in the season of what we're comparing it to, so we got to get back to that.
Heartbeat on the defensive end. Well, that heartbeat is in part Draymond Green, but this was a potential finals preview. The Warriors and the Bucks, they are among the teams with the shortest title odds this season. Golden State is second, behind only Brooklyn at plus 500. That's according to Caesars Sportsbook. And then the Bucks are tied for third with their 2021 finals counterparts, the Phoenix Suns, at plus 750. So that's what Vegas had to say. But I'm a little more interested in what our experts think, because we're midway through the season now. So top 3 contenders, they would be Perk for you in order.
In order. I'm going with the team that represented the Western Conference. I'm starting at the bottom. And number 3,
Starting at the bottom, now we're here.
I'm going with the Warriors. I feel like eventually Clay, Draymond, and Steph, that culture along with Iguodala and having the young guys buy into their new roles, they have an opportunity to be there. And number 2, I'm not going to disrespect the defending champs. I'm going with the Milwaukee Bucks. The way that Giannis is playing, we know what Chris Middleton is capable of doing. And Drew Holiday, one of the most underrated point guards in the game today, one of the best two-way players in the game today. At number 1, I'm going with the boys from the Valley, the Phoenix Suns. Okay. They represented the Western Conference, and they got better in the offseason. And now they're healthy. They got the best record in the NBA for a reason, because they know they have unfinished business.
I saw Matt Barnes taking notes as you were talking, so he's studious and has a rebuttal coming. What you got, Matt?
Good list, Perk. Good list, Perk. My number 3 was the Nets, and this is contingent on, and I fought with them and the Suns, but they made me pick one, so I'm picking the Nets. And it's contingent on if Kyrie's going to be back, if they're going to pay these fines, and they're going to have Kyrie throughout the playoffs. To me, that puts them up in 1, but we don't know that, so they're 3. Number 2, I have the defending champs, the Bucks. I mean, they just keep getting better. They understand it's a marathon, not a sprint. Statement game, wherever you call it or not, middle of January game, they're still playing the right way, and they're building for a championship. And number 1, I got the Golden State Warriors.
Wow.
It's been an emotional roller coaster the last month or 2 with the records and all this kind of stuff. Clay getting back, Draymond out. But when this team, I'm taking this team versus the field if they are healthy for the rest of the season. Then don't be surprised at the trade deadline if they grab someone like a Harrison Barnes or a high-quality player at the trade deadline, because they have a lot of young, quality assets right now. So I'm taking a healthy Warriors versus the field this season.
Well, and with the Nets and Kyrie Irving, as Adrian Wojnarowski reported on our show yesterday, the state may say there may be some fines that they could take. The NBA says no, that's not the case. He's going to have to abide by state rules. So James Harden joked, I'm going to give him the shot myself. We'll see if he actually does.
I need him.
I'm not sure I would let James Harden, do that to me. But Zach Lowe, your list would be what?
First of all, Matt Barnes taking Warriors over the field is a bold call. That's a bold call. I'm going Warriors number 3, just because the West, that top 3 in the West, and now we got to be top 4. Memphis is actually 3rd. That's no joke. Just getting out of the West is hard. Number 2, I'll go Bucks. And one of the things I'm looking for from them is guys like DiVincenzo and Connaughton stepping up. And when do we get Brook Lopez back? And number 1, look, yell at me, scream at me. I'm choosing to be optimistic. I don't know why I'm choosing to be optimistic.
You're grumpy Zach.
I'm going with the Brooklyn Nets. I'm going with the Brooklyn Nets. I'm just going to pretend that the Kyrie thing gets resolved and that the team that just demolished the Chicago Bulls on the road is the team we see. They got a lot of issues. They got a lot of problems. but there is no answer for that offense when they have Kyrie, Harden, Durant, Joe Harris. You could put me on the court with them. They'll put up 120 points. So I'm going with the Nets. Apologies to the Suns. No good reason to.
Boards and 8 assists. So let's go inside the Grizzlies' 11-game win streak, starting with the 8 wins coming against teams that currently play in the playoffs or in play-in based on their standings right now. That includes the Suns, the Warriors, the Nets, and Ja led the way with almost 27 points per game to go over 6 rebounds and 6 assists. And the Grizzlies, they have been dominant on the interior with an NBA best 62.5 points in the paint per game during this streak. So clearly they have been on fire, and there's no question. Ja Morant has been the breakout star of the NBA season thus far, but has he reached superstar status? That's a conversation for another day. But in a piece reported, I'm sorry, what? My producer just told me that this piece was reported by Kendrick Perkins.
Yeah, absolutely. He was right. The first time ever a piece was reported, my first video essay. You know I'm not writing and you know I'm not reading, but damn it, I could talk. And here it is. I'm taking you to the dark side. My first essay. Don't go nowhere, Malika. Stand right here.
I'm afraid.
I got my receipts and everything is ready to go. Here we go right now. Here we go. Run it. Run it.
You know who G12 is? That's Ja Morant. Let me take y'all on a trip to the dark side.
That's right. For those that don't know, the dark side in Memphis is the new culture, with the young fella Ja Morant leading the way.
Yes, sir. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
It used to be grit and grind, now it's G12. And I've seen this coming for a minute now.
With the second pick in the 2019 NBA Draft, Ja Morant.
Now I'm gonna tell y'all something, this guy's a lot different than Zion. He loves the limelight. And all he's done since then is shine, exceeding expectation after expectation.
Grizz Nation, our fans, Rookie of the Year, couldn't do it without y'all.
And he used that momentum last year in year 2, leading the Grizzlies past Steph and the Warriors in the play-in tournament.
15 points in the fourth quarter and overtime, 35 for the game.
Which leads us to this season. G12 has taken the lead, literally.
It jams! Oh, the bounce in the young fella.
I talked about being the most improved. I talked about making the first time, being the first time All-Star.
Yes.
He's right there in the MVP conversation. Yeah, I said it, MVP, because this young man has me thinking big things, real big things. I see something in him that reminds me of someone else. Ja Morant, when you talk about his ceiling, it's Jordan-esque. Chill, Mike. And it's like Ja had my back, because then the young fella went out and did this.
Oh, Ja Morant! What a play!
So who's laughing now? I haven't been wrong yet when it comes to Ja. Only question that remains, who else is joining me on the dark side?
There's nothing else to blame but the dark side.
You know what I'm saying? Whoever want to come jump on the train, we got room for the dark side. And you know my saying, carry the hell on.
I'm half expecting the Darth Perk coming in over here from the dark side.
I'm just saying.
Hey.
That was my first essay. Hey,
Perk, you on your way, baby.
that's all right with me.
You put the C in Casual Friday today, and you did your thing. I'm impressed.
Come on, get.
Oh, he had to show off the shoes, though. All right, I see you with the red bottoms.
Y'all coming to the dark side?
I might be there. I might be there.
This is a scary team. This is going to be a tough out for whoever has to
Talk to him, Matt.
in the playoffs. Ja Morant has started a new culture. I was going to say they need a new nickname. You know, Zebo and those guys was grit and grind. This team needs a new nickname. We got to figure out what that is. But they've embodied his energy and his spirit. I mean, they played well without him. So this team is for real. They play on both sides of the ball during the streak. You know, they're top 6 in both categories, overall 11th in defense. But I love this team, and I love Ja Morant. I mean,
Hey, look, I knew Matt came in dressed like a preacher on Easter Sunday. but I didn't know he was going to give that good gospel.
Well, Perk, you're also going to appreciate bringing Zach Lowe back into the conversation here.
Where you at?
That Ja Morant took top billing in Zach's weekly 10 things column. Why is that, Zach?
I mean, I agree with everything Matt said. The guy is audacious, fearless. He is the spirit and the soul of that team. But why he was in my column? Because that block where he looked like Superman taking off from Earth against the Lakers, that block was a highlight play, was all over the media. He's been doing this all year in less glamorous ways. Look at that's the low man on the pick and roll. Normally you see big men or big wings doing that. D'Angelo Russell, get that out of here. And you would have done that at the Carl Towns too. And by the way, if Ja commits a turnover, you better watch out. Get your side view mirrors, get your rear view mirrors, because you are not getting a layup. Steph Curry, get out of here with that. Look at that verticality. That's Roy Hibbert level verticality from a point guard. And this is just like, I don't even have words for this. Look at that. He's above the square. He's still going up. He's still going up as he gets there. He does look like Superman, and we've seen him do something like that before. Perk probably remembers him doing something like that before. Look at this, Murray State. Here he comes, different hairdo. Whoa! He is going to hit his head on the backboard. Watch out, Ja. Please do not hit your head on the backboard going for one of these chase down blocks. This is ridiculous, but these guys will tell you much better than I could tell you, Matt and Perk. When you see your superstar player grinding like that on defense, throwing his body in the way of freight trains, putting his body on the line, that's part of setting the culture for your team. When you talk to coaches, other players, co-stars, role players, when they see the number one guy doing stuff like that, and it's not always stuff that makes SportsCenter. It's stuff like, oh, he's just at the rim, he doesn't even get a shot block. That sets the tone.
I wanted to add one thing. He not only is he setting the culture on the court, but off the court. He's letting these fans know we're not accepting no other jerseys in the grindhouse but our jersey. You know what I mean? He has fans turning in their jerseys for free, Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant jerseys. So he's setting the tone, the culture. I love it. And Memphis is scary.
I know. I was going through G words in my head, from grit and grind to grit and go get a chip. Like, what's going to be the new moniker?
I just know.
Zach says I gotta work on it.
It's the dark side. But here's the thing. Another thing about Ja, like, I talk about him, the way that he talks his noise and he backs it up and he warns the league that I'm not afraid of anyone, but it's a ripple effect. We saw a couple of games ago, we saw Desmond Baines and LeBron James exchanging words. Like, you know, so Desmond Baines probably wouldn't have never had that type of confidence if his leader wouldn't be leading the way that he does. This is why I say, man, if you're not rolling with this young killer, you got a problem.
The Grizzlies were not on anybody's top three teams, but I imagine to win a championship that we just discussed at the top of the show. I imagine, though, if we expanded it just like one or two. Borowski joins us. I like having you on the desk this week.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's been kind of fun. We've spent a lot of time on this show, though, talking about the Chicago Bulls, but usually we're talking about the new Bulls. We're talking about Lonzo Ball. We're talking about DeMar DeRozan and their impact. But inside the locker room, there's somebody else who has been making that impact. Who is that?
Well, Zach LaVine. And in talking to Michael Reinsdorf, who's a COO in Chicago for a story today, you know, listen, he hired Arturas Karnisovas and led the search to hire that led them to Billy Donovan. You know, he talks about the relationship those two have, as the president, Karnisovas and Billy Donovan as the head coach, the relationships they built with Zach LaVine and really getting to know him in the time as they were building that roster. And he made an interesting comparison, Michael Reinsdorf did. You know, he said, it wasn't Zach's fault that this team wasn't winning, just like it wasn't Devin Booker's fault in Phoenix. We had to get the right players around him. And you've seen them do that in Chicago this year. And I think people look at Zach LaVine as a very different player now, a winning player, a player who could be a central figure in a contender. And I think just the relationship building with Karnisovas, Billy Donovan, something that had been missing previously in Chicago. And you've seen what that new regime has done to build, I think, an infrastructure here and a culture around this Bulls team that was really lacking prior.
And we haven't seen Alex Caruso on the court for them in a little while. What's the latest on him?
Yeah, he remains in COVID protocols, and I'm told we won't see him again sooner than Wednesday against Cleveland. He's not going to play against Golden State tonight, and then the Bulls go on a 2-game road trip, and they want to be able to ramp Caruso back up. They've missed him. He's been an integral part, especially defensively. He's been out since December 20th with a foot sprain and now COVID, but possibly Wednesday against Cleveland at home.
When he has been such a bright spot for this team, but both the Warriors and the Bulls, they're coming off bad losses. We already talked about it. Golden State last night in Milwaukee, and Chicago, remember, they lost by 26 to Brooklyn on Wednesday. Both of those scores looked like typos. So, Matt, who is this game tonight? Who is it more important to, the Bulls or the Warriors?
I feel, to be honest with you, neither. But if I had to
I appreciate your honesty.
Middle of January. But if I had to pick one, I feel like it's the Bulls because they're new to this. They're putting pieces together. Hats off to management. They did a great job. Love this team. Love how hard they play on defense. They're looking to figure out what it looks like to get there. The Warriors are looking to win it at the end of the day. So I think they're looking at two different things. Obviously, the Bulls have aspiration to win a championship, but first of all, they're looking to get to the playoffs. The Warriors are looking to get healthy at the right time and hit their stride at the right point post All-Star break going into the playoffs because they feel like they have a chance to win the championship. I'm sure the Bulls do too, but they haven't been there. The Warriors have been there. So to me, more important, I'd have to pick the Bulls.
Yeah, I agree with Matt, but I'm going to go with Golden State for the simple fact that, you know, since Klay returned, we saw guys have to take a lesser role. So you see Jordan Poole, he had to go to the bench, and he's not able to get those same shots he was getting when, like, they had a different type of chemistry and a different type of rhythm before Klay got there. Now everybody's role has changed, and now you're going to have certain guys that's going to get DMPs, especially when Draymond get back. So when I look at tonight, I want to see a flow. I want to see something like, you know, whether it's rotations, whether guys buying into roles, because I haven't seen that of late. And so I think that's going to be a problem for Golden State that they're going to have to figure out over the next month or 2 months of identifying new roles, because Klay came right in, stepped right in the starting lineup, and he pushed people to the back seat.
Well, and you have to expect the United Center is going to be bopping tonight because it has been a place to play this year. Chicago, they're still at the top of the East, followed pretty closely by the Miami Heat, but the Heat have been without Bam Adebayo for the last 20 games. They went 13-7 during that span. Not to mention they've also been missing Jimmy Butler. But Woj, what can you tell us on the return of Bam Adebayo?
Almost there, Malika. I'm told that Adebayo is now targeting Monday against Toronto for his return, and that's right about at the 6-week mark of that thumb surgery back in December. So they're about to get him back. They played great basketball without him. They've won 7 of their last 9. And, you know, we don't talk a lot about Miami, but this is a team, when you get Bam Adebayo back and you hopefully get Jimmy Butler healthy, that is going to be a problem for anybody trying to get out of the East.
Well, and we know that Big Perk loves to evaluate big men. So how important is Bam Adebayo coming back for the Miami Heat?
It's very important. When you talk about one of the most versatile bigs in the game today, a lot of the offense is ran through Bam, through the dribble handoffs, being a lob threat at the basket, surrounded by shooting. And you know, the person that it has affected the most is Duncan Robinson. Just think about it. When Bam is at the top of the key dribbling, Duncan Robinson get a lot of wide open shots just because of the actions that they have. But, you know, Miami is still sitting at the top. And you add a healthy Bam, a team that went to the finals 2 years ago. I mean, it speaks volumes about Eric Spoelstra. And by the way, he's the best damn coach in the game today.
Any team that has a University of Portland coach at the helm, we got to keep an eye on that team. Woj, thank you so much for joining us this week. Other key games includes the Nets and Cavs, the Bulls and the Grizzlies, and an Eastern Finals rematch between the Bucks and the Hawks, and then the Jazz and the Lakers in the nightcap. Our Michael Wilbon with much more on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his impact on the NBA. Wow, what a game. And then, remember the Warriors and the Cavs, they rekindled their rivalry on MLK Day in